It's changed a lot, the spy. Like, even in the few years since I've come here, this is the exhibit that I was working with in the past. Munchie meets the leaf cutters. And the tamarins.
Munchkin wanted the tour, but from Appa.
SciAnts. We get experimental science. We're curious, non-judgmental.
So guys, Balint used to do some of his research with the Liberty Science Center.
I'll show y'all where we were. We were behind the scenes in one of the exhibits.
This is my first time here, actually. So I'm excited. I've heard good things. Balint looks like a natural stroller daddy. Yeah, he's living his best life.
It looks like some stuff has been changed around. So we need to go down one floor now.
Are you serious? You guys.
I'm so sorry. It's on the 3rd floor now. So y'all, there's a lot of exhibits here meant for kids, where they learn properties of science, which I think is really cool. It's changed a lot, the spy. Like, even in the few years since I've come here, there's now an outdoor dinosaur exhibit where you can dig for fossils. And there's also like a balcony, there's a planetarium. So actually, y'all, fun fact. So this skeleton, this is gonna sound a little silly. I thought they had a living monitor lizard here. This is the living monitor lizard formerly. So this is the one that they had here at the Science Center. And after he passed, they preserved his skeleton. I know it was like, I feel like there was an actual monitor lizard here. So y'all, there is a hive out here, and you can see it connected, and check out all those bees. And then here is the bee nest entrance and exit. Look at that. This is the kind of thing we want one day for our house. So y'all, we can have a video on it. You can check out on the bees. And then you can follow them in here along this trail. And they continue on. And check it out, y'all. So they're doing their waggle dance. Look, there's one doing a waggle dance right there. Remember, that is the dance that they do to direct where there's a food source.
You can also see that one is a pollen collector, and that one also up there. Sometimes we've talked about
look
this
at that
on
one. You
stream
can
before.
see the pouches.
Yeah.
You can see some of the combs being formed. We see this one is here. Let's see, where is this? We've got a pollinator right there. You can see it has the pollen sacs, and it's doing this wiggling movement. That wiggling movement. There's another one here. This one's doing good. They're doing a figure 8, and they're directing the other bees in the hive where to go. Direction and intensity of the waggle corresponds to food source and how good the food source is. There are specialized collectors and pollinators. And the way that we've discovered is actually by this exhibit here. You can actually ID them. Jaded Fairy, welcome. Sleazy Sloppy, welcome in, y'all. So because of those pollinators, like these kinds of RFID tags, we've been able to figure out exactly where they move and what they do. Sleazy, I hope you're doing well. And then here's actually an example of the tracking tools. You can see it on that one. There's the RFID tag. Just the size on the bee. So you can track its movement, where it's going, who's going where, and what they're doing. So we're currently at the animal exhibits. I guess we'll let's start over here. And here we go. So this is the naked mole rat exhibit. So here, bald and wrinkly, usually healthy, live in the societies, jobs, and free childcare. Meet the naked mole rat, star of important research. They almost never get cancer, and they live for 30 years. They also have a social system, y'all, that's similar to ants. So when you're looking at the naked mole rats, There's a big pile of them over yonder. There they are. And these are each tagged with an RFID chip inside the exhibit. So when they walk past a certain part of the exhibit, they actually set off a timer. So here is this ID tracker. When they go through this tunnel, located here, we'll get to see which of the individuals is tracking on through. And so there they are. There's a big pile of them right over there as well. And then this is their toilet room. Here's just another neat feature. This is actually their trash room. So y'all remember how we've talked about how ants have a separate room for their trash? Ants have a separate room for their trash. Turns out naked mole rats also have separate rooms for their trash and where they use the restroom. So while I don't know, I've always heard people be like, oh, they look so gross and icky. They look so gross and icky. And then if you take a closer look at them, they actually have like their own bathroom, which I think is really cool. Like they are actually quite cleanly creatures. You know, just pretty like a neat aside. They do have a 3D model of the naked mole rats here, and we actually developed this in the lab. So we were doing there some 3D modeling stuff for a bit when we were doing 3D prints of insects, and we 3D modeled a couple of other creatures too. And this is our 3D modeled actually naked mole rat that they printed here at the Science Center because they have a color 3D printer. I can show y'all if you're interested the files that we designed of the naked mole rat, but this is like a really nice like resolution print. We made the 3D design in our lab and then donated them to the Science Center. And then they printed it here. And then y'all, this is one that freaks me out. This is a prickly stick insect. And there it is. Again, it's a form of camouflage. Oh, and here's one that's moving around here. We'll go to this one. It's again a form of camouflage. What's really cool about these is that they even wiggle. So if you look at its movement right now and how it's like kind of shaking back and forth, that we think is meant to replicate kind of the movement of a leaf while it's windy. And that's a form of its like camouflage behavior as well, that these gentle swaying back and forth movement. And just for scale, y'all, here's my hand. So see, quite a sizable insect. And then actually up top, there is two, it looks like earlier in development. It looks like one of them maybe expired. I can't tell that one here, the one that's totally black. But then here, if you look right across, there's another one. So yeah, these are quite large. And yeah, they're elements of disguise. These Andrea, you do not have to worry about. These are in Australia. These are primarily plant-based creatures, and they eat eucalyptus. But again, a way that they camouflage themselves is this gentle back and forth swaying, kind of copying a plant. Apparently, each stage has disguise. So if you're looking at this creature when it's an egg, the eggs actually look like little seeds. The little ones look like ants. Is at least the hype. So like this, if we look up here, look at how it's carrying its body. It looks very ant-like, right? In terms of its movement. It even, look at the abdomen, look at the structure of the body. Very, very different from the adult, right? And then as it gets bigger, right, then it starts to look more like leaves. Even dry, so y'all, it looks like dry leaves, which is interesting because then it means it's maybe less appetizing to be eaten by something else. So it's a multi-level of disguise, which I think is really, really exciting to be able to have that. So these, y'all, this is the exhibit that I was working with in the past. So when we were working with these creatures a couple of years ago, the queen actually ended up dying, not because we were working with them, but just because they were some unknown issue happened. But here are the nesting sites. So the way these are kept, y'all, is that the fungal gardens are right there. So those are the fungi that the leafcutter ants feed. And then here, y'all, are the fungus chambers. These fungus chambers are the food that they actually eat. So they are feeding fungus with leaves, and that's what actually is their food source. So each of those boxes has fungus. And then to get Gatto's question, you can kind of see the fungus a little bit better. There we go. Here, kind of, sort of. There's the fungus. On top of them, that is trash. That is their trash. Like, not like rotting trash, but the stuff, like when they bring extra stuff back that they decide they don't need, the gardeners say, I don't want that leaf. Or if they're bringing a ton of leaves, they don't actually bring them into the nesting site. They might just cut them and leave them here. So they have a bunch of just leaf debris on the outside. So these aren't rotting leaves. These are just just there right now. And then it's probably an apple impaled on the stick that they're going crazy for. So you usually give them like some kind of sweet snack once a day. The thing you don't give them a lot of is those sweet snacks, because they'll actually stop cutting leaves and they'll prefer to eat the sweet snack. And then actually the colony will implode. So the worst culprit of that has actually been if you give them grapes. And then the way that this arena is set up is it's set up in 3 different chambers. We have the fungal gardens over here. And then we've got a bunch of branches that go out to their foraging arena. So they're going out on these branches and going towards a little feeding chamber. They're walking back and forth along it, and you can actually see, there they are. So the leaves that are here are randomly collected from people outside. We see here they're just eating along. Any leaves that people bring in, like the workers, the employees, that's what they do. So you can see there's like prickly leaves and different types of leaves of different consistencies, and they'll like some and they'll not like others. The fun story is that one time they brought one in from like a city yard, and there was actually, insecticide on there, and it started giving the ants seizures. And so then they quickly removed them, and everyone ended up being okay. And if we zoom in, y'all, you can see, look at that, how they're cutting the leaves. Remember, leafcutter ants are toothed. So they have one tooth preference that they use to cut into the leaves. And it's like left-handedness or right-handedness, just like with people. No soldiers in here yet. The colony is too young. The colony is too young for it. If one gets out, so Ghetto, there are laws in place from the U.S. Department of Agriculture, or the USDA, that they have to have multiple sets of enclosures here. And so along the edge of the glass, Ghetto, there is actually, you can go to Home Depot and buy it. It's called 3-in-1 oil. 3-in-1 oil. And that is actually what you rub against the rim of the glass, and they can't get off from it. Now, corn relish. There are some 3D models here. These are actually the 3D models that we made in the lab, and we donated to the Science Center so that they would be able to demonstrate to people what these ants look like on a larger scale. So we developed 3D models based off of high-res scans on all of these, and so they actually printed them here. So they have the male leafcutter ant right here with the wings. Note its smaller head size, and next to it is the queen. Now that queen normally would have a massive pair of wings. After mating, she tears them off and digs underground and actually puts their wings to the ceiling, and that's where she hangs her the fungus. Oh, Munchie found us. There's our 3D models. Munchie meets the leafcutters and the tamarins. open. Let's see. The tamarins are in here. They are up at the top. So those are our tamarin friends. These easily get tuberculosis, so if you ever are working with them, you need to get a TB vaccine. Whoa. There it is. Little cutie right here. So if you look straight back, right there, that goes back to their behind the scenes. They share a behind the scenes with the ants. And so that's why we needed to get a TB vaccine when we were working with them. When I was here, we worked a lot with the Science Center for our leaf cutter ant samples. Where that computer is back there is where I set up a microscope and I dissected. I was dissecting insect brains, and this guy would sit next to me. His name is Mickey, and he'd be shouting at me and making sounds and all kinds of craziness, and he'd dance, and sometimes he'd throw food at me. It was a lot of fun.
Munchkin wanted the tour, but from Appa. Mickey would throw stuff at you.
He'd throw there's the seeds down here and whatnot, and he'd just chuck them at me while I was midst of a dissection.
What seeds? The little debris that's down there?
Yeah, so those would be these larger, I forget now what kind of seeds they were, but
how would he throw them at you? With his beak, he'd fling them?
Yeah, he'd go, wow!
Just toss them with his beak. Mickey did not like Balint. Was this the room that you and Christina would do the dissections in?
I would dissect over there, yeah.
Right, so Balint would be seated over here.
The first time it was back behind the ant area we did it, and that was terrible.
It was terrible?
Because it was it's 90 degrees Fahrenheit back there, y'all, with 100% humidity.
So I guess being in here and harassed by a very opinionated parrot is better than doing dissections in 90-degree heat. It's better for the samples to not be in 90-degree heat, that's true. Didn't he also like to be sung to? Yeah,
it was Talking Heads that he liked. So if you sang them and replaced the lyrics with his name.
He liked it, yeah. Balint, why is it that this is where he hangs out as opposed to
he was surrendered. They lived to be 60 to 80 years old, and his owner passed.
Yeah.
And so now he's here living the dream in the Science Center.
And he doesn't have a containment of his own because he prefers human interaction. Is that why?
Yeah, he just hangs out back there. And he's left there overnight. He just hangs out.
All right, and we just got to notice that they are closing soon.
We're just need to come back, y'all, because we missed the majority of the exhibits. But that's okay. All right, chat. Well, thank you for hanging with us at the Science Center. I know we didn't get to see the blue whales, but just another reason for us to come back, as well as the touch tank and a bunch of other exhibits.
All the other floors, pretty much.
Yeah.
You guys got a good look at it. Looked like the third level.
No, even missed a big chunk of that. The touch tank area we didn't go to.
You got to keep them on point, you guys.
I expect
cool better of you. Oh, Munchkin, come on now.
Sunday. So, guys, thank y'all for hanging with us.